all
president?
vendors
Well,
or just health?
I think yours
with all
is
the
just health,
executive orders
because
going
if I'm not
on,
mistaken,
it's not,
and let me double check that tomorrow.
not easy to plan
My
ahead.
quarter
But I
had
guess, I
said
would
that she
imagine
would
though
get in
that the
touch with other
students,
people, but I'm gonna see.
school's out.
Okay,
and then
because
that has
two
calmed
people
down
have
a little
called
bit.
me
Yeah.
already that
That
are
is
not
all.
health. The health will come tomorrow, but two
There's a
people have
lot
called and
of,
said they would like to have tables.
Uncertainty
so-
with
I know, and I was
financially.
going to give Tanya a call
Okay.
to see if she has the letter that went out.
federal work study, with Pell Grants.
If
I'm
there's-
sure she probably do, because the one I gave you all was a couple of years back, so
Now.
you said you already called her?
No, I'm going to, I wanted to get done with this, and I had some other things, but
default.
tomorrow I'll try to get in
So a lot
contact
of
with her to
students
see,
will
because
get
I was
I
just
wasn't sure if I was going to do all of the vendors or just the health vendors. I didn't want to
Our-
overstep my boundaries.
Prison facility.
I think it would be good
That's
though,
like our-
and I
one of
will
our
talk to
bigger
my quarter about if
populations,
you can do
And
them
there's a
all.
lot of uncertainty.
Because, and then if she can
I'm
take
sure
care.
she has,
So,
you
no,
gave
it's
us
not-
a list.
It's not as
But it was a
stress-free as you
22.
might think coming into summer.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Tanya,
about
Tanya
the
probably
training
has the one
She
from last
does.
year.
Those
she
been
does.
cut
So-
too?
Because she
No,
emailed it to me,
trains
she
are not.
probably still got it.
Okay.
Just
And
that
I think
federal
what I'll
funding.
ask my quarter to do is
I think
the
that's
people who are going to be
Especially when you're trying to
doing
budget.
the cooking.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I want myself a note to contact Tanya
Because she
tomorrow.
has her things to go to for her blood.
I don't think faculty is quite as worried because they have contracts.
I thought it was her eyes.
It's operations.
It's not her eyes?
No, she's got kidneys. Dialysis.
Tanya?
Well,
No. My quarter.
Oh, Mark.
you
Oh,
know, you need enrollment.
okay.
No, Tanya told me, I haven't talked to her
Yeah.
this year, but she told me last year that she wasn't gonna be able to anymore because they've got a aunt.
So, yeah, it's not,
That's the
no,
last
not,
aunt, older person.
not good
in
right
the
now for
family,
higher
And
education.
her birthday comes on that,
Hmm,
near that time, and so they go out of town.
There's a blue.
mhm.
Yeah, it's depressed.
Looking at this fifty left.
You know, the leaders.
I'm good.
Yeah.
That's his knowledge.
Oh, exactly.
Mayor,
Yes.
Jim sent me a message. He's on his way.
Busy.
Jill, can we have, is it John? We have John on.
I've been
Morning.
How are you guys?
finding you.
Hey, coach.
Mhm.
You
How
see
are
those
you?
soccer nets over there, Lynn?
Over here?
Yeah, we got a new field on that side now too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Took over
now, is
another
that what you're
space.
doing?
It's one of the things I'm doing.
Okay, when is your games?
Saturday mornings.
Saturday mornings.
Are you ready, Jill? All right. All right, folks, it is 7 o'clock. I will go ahead and call our meeting to order. If we can start with a moment of silence, please. And if we can stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you have a phone on you, please make sure it's off or on silent. City Clerk Domingo, if you take roll call for us, please.
Councilmember Williams. Reed.
Present.
Stewart.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
French. And Mayor Snyder.
Here. Do I have a motion to approve of the agenda?
So moved.
I got a motion and support. You get that, Jeff? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Public comments. If there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address council in regards to an agenda item, you may do so at this time. See no movement. Do I have a motion to approve of the consent calendar items?
So moved.
Support.
Consent calendar items consist of our April 21st study session and a regular session minutes, along with the request for puppy sales by the American Legion. Any questions or comments on those? All right, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? First item on the agenda for approval. Do I have a motion to approve the purchase of 3 mowers?
So moved.
Director Kern, or are you gonna?
Good evening, council. This proposal is to purchase 3 new mowers. What we'll be getting on is a rotational basis for all of our commercial mowers that we use. These mowers will go to the Parks and Cemetery Department. The ones that we bought last year will get switched to the Street Department, and they'll get split up into 4 different precincts. What we did just last month is we sold all 12 of our older mowers. We recouped quite a bit of money in the sale of these mowers. In talking with Finance Director Clark, there's enough money in each fund, both cemetery and parks, to pay for this, and then some of it will come out of solid waste because they're also made to mulch leaves and whatnot before we pick them up with the leaf bag. Pretty much, we get everything through a state bid price. These mowers usually are over $20-some thousand a piece. We're getting up to $15,000 a piece, and then we'll keep them for 3 years and we'll rotate them out. Just like the ones we bought this year, we'll keep for another year or 2, and then sell those at auction as well to recoup the funds to put towards purchasing new mowers.
Director Kern, so you said that we recently sold 12 mowers,
Correct.
and how much did we?
Overall, we brought in $75,000 from the auction, but that also included, there was some other equipment that we sold through there. We had quite a bit of things. We also sold 2 older dump trucks. So Director Clark will take those funds and then split them up, go towards the purchase of the new dump trucks that are on order. The average sale was about 3,000 to 4,000-ish. Some brought a little bit more, some brought a little bit less. They were a little bit older. We had some, I think the least amount of hours was 300 hours. I think the most was almost 2,000 hours.
Okay.
So they had some wear and tear on it.
So the fact that we sold 12, but we're only buying 3.
So Parks Department has 2 brand new ones that we bought last year. Plus we bought a 8-foot wide wing mower that we bought at an auction. We actually got from the city of Wyoming. Then they have an older one that we kept for seasonals. And then the cemetery has 4 brand new mowers that we bought last year. And so what we're going to do, those are our frontline mowers. It's kind of like the police cars. Our frontline police cars and frontline mowers will get rotated every year because they get used the most. And so to leave them there, just keep racking up the hours, brings the depreciation down quite a bit. And it starts bringing on the wear and tear and the repair costs. So we're going to buy 2 new ones for cemetery or for parks, 1 for cemetery because one of them only has 37 hours last year. So they can keep that another year or 2, and then we'll rotate that one out. We're going to take the ones from the Parks Department currently and switch those to the Street Department because we sold the Street Department's old mowers, so they don't have anything. So Street Department takes care of anything like the pieces of property that aren't covered by parks or cemetery. And so they'll use the wide area mowers, the 72-inch mowers. We have one for the water treatment plant that we're going to use too, because we bought one for the water treatment plant last year and it got less than 10 hours on it. So it doesn't quite make sense to have a brand new 72-inch mower just sit there and not be used when our guys can use it in the streets, and we can send them out there and just bill internally for the usage of that mower.
So the reason why, I ask these questions, I'm sure other council members have maybe been contacted or heard grumblings of folks wanting to know why, how do we justify this price tag for 3 mowers? But
So
the fact that, that we were able to recoup money from selling other old equipment.
and these aren't the type of mowers that we would all buy for our homes. These are commercial grade mowers. You can go out and buy a cheaper mower, a John Deere or Gravely. They're great mowers, great brands, but for what we do, If you look at every single municipality and you look at every single large landscape company, they don't have John Deere's or Gravely's or anything. They have Exmarks and Toros. Those are the name brands that are out there for heavy duty commercial use. So that's why we're paying 15,000 compared to 20,000 if we were to buy it just outright.
Any other questions? Yeah, Councilman Frost.
Thank you. Director Kern, so these mowers, we were able to sell the old ones and recoup some money from those. In the next X number of years, when we come to sell these, are they going to also hold pretty good return on the
They
investment?
will. That's the whole reason of wanting to rotate them, because if you hold on to them too long, it's like any piece of equipment, you run it into the ground, it's not worth anything. And so what I did is I looked at what other municipalities are doing, and they do the same thing. They keep them over about 3 years max, and then they get rid of it because it still has good resale value, it's still in good shape, and then they can recoup more money. The reason we only got 3,000 to 5,000, 6,000 out of the other ones is you're looking at 2012s, 2013s. We had one that was a 2021, but they were a heavy duty residential mower. They're not made to do what we're doing all day long. And so they took a pretty good beating. So I was actually pretty pleased to get some of the money that we did get out of these mowers. What we got, I was actually surprised on some of them.
Councilman Stewart, do you have your hand up?
I was wondering, yes, I did, thank you. We've covered a little bit, but I understand what you said about the state bid price and the $20,000 price tag. It's not retail, but whatever they call the CSP or whatever the term was. Are we locked in to do that kind of pricing, or do we have ability to do, call it freelance pricing, put out for?
So that's the
Different
state bid
bids?
price. That's the best price that's negotiated by the state. We use three main pricing points: MIDeal, Sourcewell, and Omnia. So what I'll do is I'll go to any vendor, whether it's for a dump truck, mower, whatever, and I'll ask that vendor, do you participate in any of these three state bid prices? And so the state negotiates these for lower bid. So any municipality that's part of MIDeal, Sourcewell gets this price break. So this is kind of the best price that we could ever get.
Councilwoman Davis.
Going back to what Mayor has said regarding the total, I guess, is there any way that it can be published or posted? This is the total. However, it's not all coming, it's not the true total in terms of with the money that is coming back into the system. You know what I mean? In terms of, it's the total that we're paying out, but it's not the overall total cost of what, because you're deducting some of the residuals, so to speak. Is there a way that you can put it so the public can see this is how much it's costing, but we're bringing this much in, which is going to cost the city less?
So what Director Clark does is he puts it on a depreciation schedule. The
Mhm.
equipment pool will buy it. These separate funds rent it from the equipment pool internally. So if we pay 15,000 for a mower and we keep it 3 years and I sell it for 10,000 or I sell it for 7,000, it really only costs the city 7,000, but then he also took and paid that fund back through rental of it.
Mhm.
If that makes, if I'm explaining it correctly. And so just started this last year of actually doing it where we actually depreciate the value of our stuff and pay it back.
Mhm.
So I would love to do that. I just don't have the exact numbers just yet. Hoping to have it next fiscal year or the year after,
Mhm.
to where I can.
Yeah, even because when homeowners have to pay, for property that they haven't mowed, that goes back into this budget, doesn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. So the total really isn't as bad as it
No.
seems.
And that's why I'm hoping like the people who pay attention
Mhm,
are probably gonna listen to hear the explanation of how we're able to afford
mhm,
these mowers.
mhm.
Because I didn't have this information prior to tonight, and that's why I was asking these questions. So that the public can be aware that we did sell equipment.
Yep.
This is going to be spread out over multiple different lines because of the different departments that it's gonna be impacting. And so it's not just coming from one area.
Mhm,
And it's really, not a big cost
mhm.
for us to bear because we were able to recoup money.
Recoup some of those funds.
It's the same thing we do with these cars every year.
Mhm.
We buy a new squad car, sell the old ones, sell the equipment and all that, and then put that money back into buying the next squad car.
And also why these mowers are more expensive than something that just a typical homeowner would look
Right,
at purchasing.
right.
Yeah, I think those were probably the questions that some of us were getting.
Mhm.
Councilwoman Reed.
I did just like to say to Jason, thank you, because he and I have talked before, so I kind of knew what he was talking about. But they are really doing a fantastic job as to keeping money, making money work
Mhm.
to make things work. And I went out by the cemetery today, I was on my way up by Homer. And that cemetery was like new money. And you used to ride out by there and you see grass up and down and dandelions and stuff, but that cemetery, look, I don't want to be there right now, but it looks fantastic place to be, yeah,
Thank you. The guys do a great job.
they do,
They
they
do.
do.
They truly
And,
do.
and it's because they've got the things to do it with,
Yes.
that's efficient. So,
Yeah. The other thing too, these are on a strict maintenance program. We've never had that where it's recorded. So work orders get generated electronically. So when we go to sell these mowers, we can actually give them a printout of everything that's ever been done. But the mechanics that we have now and the foreman doing the inspections and everything have made a huge difference. On top of it, these mowers are assigned to each personnel. So it's not like I just go over and jump on a mower and then this person jumps on a mower because there's no accountability. Since we've implemented it to where each person has their own backpack blower, their own weed whip, and a mower assigned to them in each field, especially with trucks on top of it, our repair costs have just fallen off. We're buying belts, blades, and oil and filters, and that's it. And the guys are taking care of their stuff. I mean, it is remarkable compared to what the old mowers we sold looked like. We would have thought they came from Fallujah. I mean, it's like, these guys are really taking care of their stuff. So the money, it's an initial purchase is big. But over time, we get our money back when we sell them. They're taking care of it and it costs less to operate these things because they're built unlike anything you buy at Home Depot or anywhere else. That's why all the big municipalities and the big landscape companies use these brands.
Council District.
Yeah, just a quick, I want to see if I have this right. So you said we sold 12 mowers.
Mhm.
You said I think you said we got 3 to 4 for each of these.
Yeah,
And so if I go conservatively and say 3, then we recoup 36 for these 12 mowers and we spent 47. So in my mind, it seems like our net was about 11. So are those numbers right? About right? I mean,
yeah,
roughly
it
right?
was, like I said, it wasn't like we had a pretty, it was pretty up and down
Mhm.
a lot, but yes, you're
But we
Roughly
also
right.
sold other equipment,
We
not
also
just
sold
the
other-
mowers.
Yeah, there were 75, you said. that
About
we sold,
75,000.
and
Yeah.
About 36 of that sounded like it was mower. If
Yes.
That was a good average on the conservative. So I just wanted to see if I was.
Yes.
Because I will have people ask me. I already had somebody ask me.
Mhm. All right, any other questions or comments? Wonderful, thank you for that explanation. City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes,
Frost,
Yes,
Davis,
Yes,
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Next is our discussion on the fee schedule. City Manager Carey?
Madam Mayor and members of council, in your agenda packet this evening on page 17 is a proposed fee schedule. What we're looking at here is a change to the nonprofit organization Currently, our fee chart, which is adopted as part of our budget process, calls for a $100 a day for nonprofit organizations to use our park facilities. After careful study, the administration, in talking to some of the participants, has recommended that we eliminate the $100 a day charge. We're not going to eliminate the requirement of insurance, but we are asking city council to amend the fee schedule as presented, eliminating the $100 per day. Because our children are being serviced by these nonprofit groups, we felt that it was in good earnest to change the agreement to allow them, or the fee schedule to allow them to use our parks at no cost. So the administration recommends adoption of this amendment. I welcome any questions or comments.
Councilman Williams?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Manager Terry. I appreciate, this will go to incentivize, the nonprofits to utilize the park systems more frequently because they won't have that overhead cost. So thank you.
Yes.
And it's to help our kids, and our kids really need to have things going that's supervised, that's fun to do, and that keeps them out of trouble and can teach them some better manners than maybe what they're getting other places.
And I think it's the right thing to do. That's good. You know, that would eat into their responsibilities and into their profits as well. So I think it's the right collaboration and
Yes.
support for each other is the right thing to do.
Councilman Stewart?
So at one point this got added and I wondered why did, and what was, does anybody remember what the reasoning was when we added it back then? Why we put it on? I wasn't around for this one, and it looks like it happened in 2022. So I was wondering, because there was some logic that went into putting this on there, and so I'm just curious, what was
Well,
that logic that we're not thinking of?
the one thing I was thinking about, you know, nonprofits are pretty wide ranging, and it's not, nonprofits don't solely service youth. So I think the intent, and if I can remember correctly, and City Clerk Domingo might recall as well, I think it was for other uses besides that. I don't want to totally, I would not want to totally remove it. I think that people may be able to appeal that fee if it is servicing the youth, because I am in agreement. If there's an organization that wants to hold recreational activities in our parks, then definitely I'm in support of that. But I think if another nonprofit wants to hold something in one of our park spaces, we should still charge them that fee. So I wonder if it can be a case by case situation where it can come to us, like people who apply, they have to apply to utilize like the pavilions or other things like that. If they want to do that, they can submit an appeal to say, can this be waived because this is servicing recreational opportunities for our youth.
Or requested it.
Yeah.
On their application, they could request a waiver of
Yes,
fees.
yeah.
You know, if I remember correctly, regarding conversation at the table, there were people using the parks without permission and
Mhm.
trashing it.
Mhm.
So I remember the discussion regarding, you know, like if there's a cost, there's accountability.
Yeah.
You know, so, but many years ago, you could just go use the park,
Mhm.
no matter what. You know, it was there, so you used it. But that was a concern for a council discussion, that they were abusing the privilege. And
Yes,
so
I think that
that's-
was with basketball courts, because they had people from other places coming in using the basketball courts, not so much the,
And the pavilions too.
Yeah.
And the shed.
Yeah. well, those already They have charges.
I know they do, but at one time you could just use it. Well, I've been here a long time. You could just use it and there were no consequences.
And I wonder if we, and Jill, do you remember why this was brought on? I'm trying to, for some reason, it's kind of bringing back with the disc golf tournaments. Because they were using, I mean, that's equipment that we have to upkeep.
Mhm.
And so I think when all these disc golf tournaments were coming, this is why we said you have to pay
Mhm.
to use that part. Because it was like statewide tournaments, like people were coming in from all over, which we love. But if things get damaged, they get trashed, that's our expense to pick up.
Well, with this, we had planned on last year at Juneteenth, we had a nighttime movie Friday night. But the movie couldn't start until about 11 o'clock because it would have to be dark. So this year we wanted to have a baseball game with young people. And so I talked to Mr. Barnes and I asked him, could he arrange that? And he has made arrangements to do a baseball game. But the $100
Yeah,
is a
so like-
lot. Yeah, and it's just like churches. Churches from time to time take their kids out to parks to play baseball. I know First Baptist used to do that, you know. And so you wouldn't want to charge them, you know, for having just a fun day with kids.
Yeah, so like, people have to apply to use the pavilions to kind of reserve things. So part of that whole reservation process, if they want to ask for a waiver,
Mhm.
as long as they have an
Yeah.
explanation.
Yeah, well, we're paying for building.
Yeah.
But we want to have a night
Mhm.
a evening baseball game.
Councilman Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. Do we know what kind of revenue this fee brings in?
Not very much. The frequency is not that great. So when a group or organization calls to reserve the pavilions or park space, they have to identify themselves. So we're going to know whether or not they're a nonprofit. And what their intent is. Now, unfortunately, anybody who is a profit or an organization, or let's say, any group that isn't recognized as doing something for the community or people, if they're a nonprofit, I think that's where the mayor is coming from, is that we have to be able to decipher, you know, what is a good and honorable nonprofit function as opposed to somebody who claims they're nonprofit and decides, well, I'm gonna make my application up. We're gonna be able to hopefully decipher who is and say, no, you're not falling under that category of nonprofit. There's gonna be a charge here. And I think the administration, being council's reception for groups like that, and this is for future administrations, should be able to discuss this with council and if they want to appeal, if the administration says no, then they can appeal. That's, I believe, what the mayor is trying to describe is groups that might say that they're a nonprofit, but have other intentions.
I understand. Thank you.
So are we good with that recommendation that when they do apply for usage, that they can also request an exemption of the fee?
Whoever's making that motion, are we just making the motion for nonprofits, or are we making it for anyone?
Right.
Because,
Well, this is a
Well-
nonprofit fee. Isn't there another
well,
fee for?
it's a rental, yeah, it's a rental fee.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying we need to extend the discussion, but I have two things going through my mind here. One is, should it really be a fee? Or should it be a deposit and they get it back if they didn't trash the joint? If we're not really making the money on it? And then should we consider the waiver being, askable, potential for anyone? Because like even the disc golf tournament, I don't know if it's a nonprofit or not, but say they're not.
Mhm.
That's the kind of thing, as a small business owner, I want to promote. I want those 220 people coming into Albion and spending the night and shopping.
Mhm.
So if I was voting for that, I'd vote to waive the fee if it brought them in or make it a deposit, whatever. So those just two things I want to bring up. I didn't want to make it more complicated, but I'm just wondering if we, at some point,
Mhm.
want to also entertain that it could be a deposit, and B, that it could apply to not just nonprofits. They could ask. We can say no, but they could always ask.
So
I
this,
think it should be open for fun for the kids.
so this isn't an action item for tonight. It's a discussion. If we wanted to, make this an action item to put in extra language, that's definitely something that we could bring up to the next agenda.
As the administration, my recommendation is that we could provide language with a policy that city council could look at our next meeting,
Mhm.
if that's
Mhm.
favorable to council.
Makes sense.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Any other comments before we move on? Good. Do I have a motion to approve of the professional design services for the Maple Street improvements?
So support.
Director
Well-
Kern or city manager?
Mr. Curran.
So after this was submitted to the council, myself, Finance Director Clark, and Manager Terry met. We don't think we should move forward on this after all, because this is a lot of money. While Maple Street needs it, desperately needs a rebuild. We're gonna have to put out 1.3 million out of our own pocket. And we're already running into issues on our current water main project where we are discovering that we have sewer lines that were installed in like 1909 that we have to replace out of our own pocket. We just can't let it continue to have raw sewage in our ground. And we're gonna do it right. We're not gonna just Band-Aid it just to have to tear up a brand new road because we didn't do it right the first time. So when we have these new roads put in, we're gonna do everything the way we should and replace the structures. There are manholes that are caving in on themselves. And this is a big, I really want to get Maple Street done. But we have $385,000 that's coming in from MDOT. MDOT said that's yours. You have it this year to spend. The other thing, so we all sat, the three of us sat in Director Clark's office and we're just like, weighed the pros and cons the next day and everything we have going on. And the city manager said it to me, before we started this project, you never know what you're gonna get into until you open it up. And anybody that's done construction or any type of renovation know exactly what we're talking about. Yep, take down the wall. It's like, dear Lord, I didn't realize it was so bad. Well, he said that, the city manager said it to me and I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then an issue happened at Oak and South Eaton Street, and that's gonna be about $65,000 to $100,000 to fix. Some of it will come out of the grant, some of it won't. We have one that just happened on South Ionia Street. We have to replace 4 manhole structures throughout the whole thing down there. Got them down to about $8,400 a pop. But that has to come out of our pocket. So the thought is we need to have a cushion to pay for these things as this project moves along. If we do this project, the total project for Maple is 1.6 million. We get 385,000. That's 1.3 million. We have to come up with our own money in 2026 fiscal year. That stretches us pretty thin. And we just don't feel right about it. Now, that 385,000 is there. If we don't use it, we lose it. So the one thing we talked about was this. Cass Street, West Cass is getting replaced. All new main, water main from Superior to Ann Street. Next year in 2026, North or South Albion Street's getting completely done, north and south from the bridge all the way to Erie. So you're gonna have a brand new road all the way down Albion Street, and you're gonna have a brand new road down Cass Street, which is a truck route. It's a federally funded route. It's a truck route. You're gonna have a brand new road from Superior to Ann. And then the last two blocks are gonna be the worst that there possibly is. With the senior center right there, Holland Park, all the services that are right there at Albion and Cass, the citizens are going to go be irate. They're gonna look at us like, what are you doing? Why didn't you finish to go the last two blocks and have a brand new road throughout that whole area? The rough numbers, very, very rough, are about $500,000 to keep going from Ann to Albion. They're going, what we think we can do is we can take that 385,000. We're still trying to work out the details, but we think we can take that 385 and put towards that 500,000. And all we have to do is come up with the rest of it. And we can have that entire road done. And I'm talking a complete rebuild. So we really think that we should not move forward with Maple. I've talked Councilwoman Davis. So myself and the deputy director went out there and we looked at it on Maple Street. We think we can put enough Band-Aids on it to get it through the next year or two. We'll try to go after more grant funding or some other source, or maybe even try to do it in sections at a time. We think we can take a lot of some of the issues out of it to where it's not such whoop-de-doos and huge potholes. We think we can Band-Aid them enough to get us by, but it's just a lot of money to lay out. And I think we can take that 385 and stick somewhere else. What I've been doing with the contractors, every contractor that's doing the roadway, trying to get them to do a little bit more on the bridges. I got them to go another 20 feet or more. I'm like, you can't stop. If we have a brand new bridge and a brand new entrance to the bridge, and literally on the other side is a gaping hole, people are gonna look at us sideways. And so I was like, listen, is there any way you can just give me a couple more feet and just take care of these areas? And so far, they've been very good about doing it. And so I'm trying to stretch as much as we can out of this project. And then like Broadwell Street, West Broadwell Street is getting done from Jefferson to Mallory. And that was it. So from Mallory or from Jefferson to Albion wouldn't get touched. And then from Mallory to State would still be horrible. So I'm working with Quality Estimating. They have the contract. They're going to redo the rest of it. So that'll come out of our pockets. But you can't just do a small section and then have the citizens have to drive down this crater-filled area with a brand new section and then another crater-filled area until they get to a brand new road that's getting done, because State Street's getting done all next year too. So I'm trying to do the best we can, and we just don't feel good about this one. But we think we can take it and move somewhere else.
Is Albion Street gonna go all the way up to Erie?
Yes,
Yes.
so from
Okay,
the
but
bridge,
there's a big hole
oh,
right up in there.
there, yes. And we patched a couple, but they just, so from the bridge all the way to Erie Street, that's all getting redone. We're applying for a grant to do all of Beamer Street. Beamer's where we milled it out, Beamer Street's getting done regardless.
Mhm.
By July, it'll either be just that section that we milled out of there, or we're applying for a $2.5 million grant. We have to come up with about $275,000 to match it. And then we can do the entire road from Eaton Street all the way to the dead end, and then curve down Magnata, Dean, all that to where all the new roads gonna go in. So I need that 275 to go towards that this year. And then we're applying for a $6.9 million grant to redo West Erie Street from Superior all the way to Albion. We've got a bunch of grants that we've got going out there, and we're gonna need the money for some matches too, on top of fixing what we find.
Councilman Davis?
Yes, thank you. Even though it's a little bit disappointing, but I understand that is, yeah, I highlighted it as, you know, that is a lot of money. Do you think that there will be any funding available for Wiener? Because we brought that to the attention last year and, you know,
Maybe
between,
in sections.
yeah, Wiener in the commercial area,
So I have, right behind Family Fair.
Family Fair.
Yes, we're gonna get prices on that.
Okay,
There's that area to do. We just were down on Booth Drive today, and holy cow.
have you been down there recently? I thought I
So
was
we're
gonna
trying
hurt
to
my
think
ankle.
outside the box on that, and then we're looking at Ionia Street, because Ionia Boulevard right there,
Yeah. That's right.
why it was put into two different roads like this is extremely expensive. We have to take the $15,000 mowers and jump curves to go mow that grass. I don't like that. So we're looking at different alternatives that we'll come back to you all with. But you have the 1,000 block of North Monroe. It's, the road's gone. It's cut, the water is cut out the road. Right there, as it goes into Booth. I mean, literally, you could go to every district, everybody's precinct, and there's issues. So our best thing is we're gonna try to start somewhere. We're gonna try to think outside the box. We're gonna try to do some pulverizing and some milling and some filling. We're gonna try to do something on our own to save money. But we only have so much to work with. So
So it's your recommendation that we do not approve this?
And
no,
just table it.
yeah, I mean,
If we could. We have 54 miles of streets, probably, and this is just a guess, out of that 54, probably 40 miles of that streets are inadequate under a Paisley. The idea is that, again, the administration sits down as a team. We're gonna take a hard look at all of our streets. We're gonna bring forward to council for your approval, those streets where we have the financial resources to fix them. We think that that is the best approach. So that is, it's not so much a tabling, it's what we're doing is we're assessing as we're going along. As Director Kern had pointed out, we're finding a lot of unknown substructure, underground deficiencies that we need to fix. We need to keep in reserve enough cash reserve to fix those items that we come across. So in the case of Cass Street, it does right now make the most sense. What we'll sit down and do is Director Kern will meet with the contractor, he'll meet with the engineer, and we'll bring back more detailed information as we proceed. We believe that as a team, this is the best approach moving forward.
Councilman Fox?
Thank you, Mayor. Director, how soon could you get more hard numbers about finishing up the last 2 blocks there in the cast?
we just talked about it again today at our progress meetings throughout the city today. They are working as hard as possible to get it because we are under a deadline to have a finalized number and a finalized proposal. When that is, we don't quite know what the cutoff is, so that's what we're trying to, establish when the actual cutoff is, other than real soon. That's what we keep getting. So Whiteman is already working on the design portion of it. We've already talked to the contractor. At worst case scenario, we might have to lock in at this year's pricing, which we'll probably have to buy about $85,000 worth of material, store it at the street department, and then we'll push the paving, the whole reconstruction of Cass would push into 2026. We've already talked with the engineer, Whiteman, and the contractor about doing this, and it's doable. That way we keep our prices low, and we think we can get the asphalt company to lock in too.
And with these numbers taken into account, finding the 1909 sewer systems and these other kinds of
No,
things, no, okay.
no. So that's another issue that we could run into. Hopefully, some of it we can get wrapped into the grant, but that last 2 blocks is 100% ours. So, and the road is so bad, it completely has to be rebuilt, just literally start from scratch.
Right. I guess what I'm getting at is if this $1.6 million project is outside of our budget right now, and I believe that it is. But if we look at the cost to finish up out to Albion Street, and we find that that's more than we want to take on, the question still remains, what do we do with this $350,000?
The 300, what we would do, like one of the things we have to do, we have to run a camera system down through. We'll go through a camera system to see how bad everything looks. So far, that area isn't calling for anything more. What happened on South Eaton Street is that section is extremely old, that section of town. And so all that infrastructure has never been upgraded. I can't tell you when the Cass Street has been done. I can look it up for a database, but that section of town is our oldest that we have. It was when everything was first put in. So I can't tell you, I don't anticipate the last 2 blocks to be crazy because I've been proven wrong. I have nothing to indicate right now that anything's lurking underneath, but I won't know until I run some cameras through there, both the storm sewers and sanitary lines.
If that whole area down around there from Erie back up like towards Chestnut and then over some, because I've been on the street for over 30 years. And there's been nothing done. And when the Malibu was there, you had trucks constantly, the
Yes.
Malibu, and then the ones that come out from Homer, into Albion and around through there. Nothing's been done. Those streets are just a mess.
Well, the problem too is that these streets are incredibly wide.
Yeah.
They're wider than most normal streets. And it's because of industry that used to be there, Harvard Industries. Cass Street runs all the way
Gale.
from Albion, all the way into the college. If you go down by the college, it's narrower through there. Because what they did to save costs is narrow the street down a little bit because they don't need to be so huge. You don't need 2 passing semis in the night going down Cass Street. And that's what we're gonna look at too, on West Cass, is narrowing it down a little bit more, so it's not so. The more real estate that we have to pay, the more money it's gonna be.
Councilman Stewart.
And I also just, that's not what I was gonna say, but narrowing streets, I think the traffic studies show that that's safer too. So with a narrower street, it's safer for our pedestrians, I think. I wanted to say that I appreciate the idea that we don't want to stretch ourselves too thin. I think that's smart. We want to be successful with the investment that we've already got going. And so this seems like wisdom. So we back off a little bit, make sure that we can get done the things that are already well underway and can handle the things that reasonably are going to come up. So I appreciate the idea of basically rejecting this for now.
Any other questions or comments?
We'll just keep it alive.
Keep hope alive.
City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Stewart,
No, no.
Ross,
No,
Wait a minute, what do we think?
Davis,
Whether to approve this.
No.
Williams,
No.
Reed,
No.
and Mayor Snyder.
No. Future agenda items. Anything that council would like to see on an upcoming agenda?
No, but I'd like to announce that we have set the date and have
Well, we will
started.
get to councilmember comments in a moment.
What happened with EDC. Were we not going to meet, or they were going to give us a report regarding the status?
We're still working on kind of getting that put together.
Oh.
Any other future agenda items? All right, public comment. Is anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address council? May do so at this time.
May I? Always like to let people go if they'd like. Madam Mayor, council members, Interim City Manager Doug Terry, Clerk Domingo, folks here in the gallery and those watching, good evening, Gary Tompkins, your County Commissioner. It's always great to be with you folks each and every month. As I get started this evening, one of the things I want to start out with is, maybe you may know or may not know, yesterday was International Firefighters Day. I take an opportunity to certainly appreciate all that our firefighters do to protect us and serve in some of those dangerous conditions. So thank you certainly to the guys for doing that, as well as, and also this next week will be National Police Week, May 11th through 17th. Again, thank you guys for all the work that you do to keep us, protect us and serve the public. So again, that's just wanted to point that out because those are very important people in our communities, certainly. Next up, Aaron Edelson. Many of you may or may not know Aaron. He was our Director of Veterans Affairs at Calhoun County. May have seen him a time or two before. He has resigned his position as Veterans Affairs Director. He's moving on to another position, so we'll be immediately searching for his replacement. But again, we do appreciate your service, certainly for taking care of our seniors in Calhoun County. Two upcoming recycling events upcoming this May. If you didn't get a chance to go to the Household Hazardous Waste event on April 28th in Battle Creek, there is another one to be had on Monday, May 12th from 2:30 to 5:30 at the Calhoun County Fairgrounds. So that's an opportunity. And also right here in Albion at Ketchum Field on May 19th, there's an appliances without refrigerant, electronics and scrap metal collection that'll be taking place from 12 to 5:30 that day. So some opportunities, if you got some old stuff that you want to get out of there, it's an excellent opportunity to sort of free one of the Calhoun County events that we do throughout the year. From the SMAC committee aspect, one of the things I want to point out is Calhoun County Senior Expo is May 22nd at Kellogg Arena from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's an excellent opportunity for seniors to get out. I know it is a bit of a distance, but certainly it's an excellent opportunity for our seniors to get out. Lots of free stuff, lots of great information in terms of services that are available for our seniors across Calhoun County. So if you get a chance, anybody that maybe need a ride, we can get them up there, and it's a great event each and every year. I'm sorry, ma'am?
Where did you say that was?
At the Kellogg Arena in Battle Creek from 9 to 1. Yeah, May 22nd. And then also too, the centenarians, any of you know anybody that's 99 years or older? Certainly in Calhoun County, we've got 14 new centenarians this year that we've been able to identify, but it's an opportunity to make sure that we have an opportunity to basically appreciate those milestones and really recognize them in a really neat way. So if you know anybody, contact the senior services and let them know that. I know we've had a lot in Albion, certainly a lot of centenarians that have been here in Albion with that aspect. My newsletter, for those of you that don't have it, you want to subscribe to it, I've got my business cards here with the newsletter email on the back of it. It's a great resource to know what's going on in the 7th District and Calhoun County. Lots of stuff that you may not necessarily get from others, that you'll definitely get from me, because I always believe in being upfront and transparent. That's always a good thing. Interesting enough, in the newsletter this month, we had our 2025 equalization report that we put out in April. And I found it fascinating, the fact that market value per parcel from 2017 to 2025, Albion had the largest increase in market value per parcel, $46,000 to $103,000, 150% in a matter of 8 years, which at one time would have been potentially unheard of. We've not even seen that. So a lot of good information there. Also my 2025 Parks and Mills allocations, you guys have accepted that already. But again, I know a lot of people are throughout the county are doing lots of great things with those parks millage dollars. And I will end remiss this evening, or I would be remiss if I didn't end this evening. On April 30th, maybe those of you that are my Facebook friends would have seen that I put out a special honor of Mr. Robert Holt, who would have been his 107th birthday on April 30th. I had the opportunity to meet him on his 100th birthday. I didn't get a chance to meet him as much, or be with him as many of you did over the years, but I will tell you, he had a major impact on my life, and I still think about him to this day. That smile, that beaming smile, and always just very humble about, getting the recognition. He loved that recognition, but he was very humble about it. And just want to take the opportunity to make sure that we remember him. Quite a legend here in the city of Albion, and we won't forget him anytime soon. So Unless there's any questions for anybody, anybody have any questions? But again, my newsletter, if you're interested, I've got some business cards here that you get. It's totally free. Nobody sees your email. It's a good resource. Plus, you get to aggravate me if you want. My phone number, and my email address is there.
I don't think I get it.
I will get you on that. Yep.
I used to,
I
but
know, and
it
then only-
disappeared. Yes.
We'll make sure it takes care of it. Thank you, folks. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Any other public comments? City manager report.
Yes, Madam Mayor and members of council, just one important item, June 21st. We have our annual spring cleanup. It'll be curbside. Granger will come around and pick up a lot of household items, unwanted. And we are encouraging our citizens to participate. So, other than that, working with staff, the project is keeping us busy. Again, my compliments to all the department heads. We will be meeting tomorrow. We'll be discussing some of the things that we talked about here tonight. Again, it's a pleasure working here with professionals. That being said, that's all I have.
All right, council member comments. So, Councilman Reed, I know you were gonna make a announcement of some sort.
Yes, on the 21st also of June, we're going to be celebrating Juneteenth at
Holland.
Juneteenth at the park. And I was just wondering, because I know it's the day that they have the pickup, the city pickup. We all knew that, so I'm just going to be asking the newspaper to put that in there a little early too, so people can still get their stuff out. And then it'll be at Holland Park, the 21st. We've got a lot of the groundwork already taken care of, but we still got a little bit more planning to do. So maybe at the next meeting, I can kind of explain to you more about what we're gonna have.
Thank you.
Councilman Stewart?
A couple of FYIs from the DDA. The June 21st is Fête de la Musique typically, and that we are backing off of that a little bit this year, so remains to be seen what, if anything, we'll be doing for Fête de la Musique this year, just FYI. If someone's really passionate about it, have them call me and we can talk with them about it. Second thing is the car show will be the Friday after that, so that's gonna be coming out soon, and you'll see publications about that.
Any other comments? All right, do we have a motion to excuse Councilman French?
Support. Aloha.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned, 7:55 PM.